Jones, you go to town. No, I was here. I was good.
What is it?
Okay.
Want me to give you a boost? I can't. Because your leg is already going down here. They're pretty much.
Appeals, Town of Hempstead, January 4th, 2023, 9:30 meeting. Everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Acting Chair, do you have any opening remarks?
Only that most of you have been here before. I recognize some of you. I'm acting chair today in light of our former chair's retirement, I guess, if you will. Those of you who've been here before, you know how it goes. Those of you who have not, our secretary of the board will call the cases. If you're interested in a case and not the applicant, you come forward, make sure you've signed in advance. You'll sit to this side. The applicants will come to the board, be sworn in by the secretary of the board, and will proceed hearing the application. Other than that, Happy New Year, everyone, and let's get started.
First, we have an application for adjournment, case 1023, Belmore, Catherine and Stanley DeLong. Variance lot area occupied, maintained wood deck attached to the well, known as 306 Frederick Avenue.
My name is Marcus Pt1, representing the Doritos.
Sure.
And I'm asking for a reschedule of the meeting for today.
Okay. Would you mind just scooting the microphone near you so at least I can maybe hear you a little better? And this is an application to maintain a wood deck. I note here on the calendar that the mailing didn't go out when it needed to go out. So have you been briefed by the zoning office as to when that mailing needs to go out?
Yes.
Okay, so given that we need the mailing, and we can still do the 1st of February, right? Okay, would February 1st in the morning work? That's about a month out, and you will have sufficient mailing time.
Yes.
Can you get, Patrick, what's the window for the mailing on that? Coming up.
January 5th through 12th.
So are you able, is the mailing sufficiently prepared that you're able to get it out between the 5th and the 12th in preparation for the, okay. So we'll put it down for February 1st in the morning at 9:30, and you make sure to get the mailing out when you need it, okay? Thank you.
At this time, I do not have any other requests for adjournment. Is there anybody here that working in adjournments? Okay. So first we have case 123, Paul 560 Sunrise Highway, LLC. Renewal grants, maintain special exception for outdoor storage of used automobiles for non-conforming auto repair shop, maintain a variance in off-street parking, maintain special exception to park in resident district, maintain 6-foot high fence, known as 560 Sunrise Highway. Well, raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Ms. Chairwoman and members of the board. My name is Emily Yan. I'm from the Lit Law Group representing the old homeowner who owned 560 Sunrise Highway LLC and has since sold the property to the new owners on October 19, 2022. We're here today to finalize these renewal permits on behalf of the old owners so that the new owners can use it, because these have been in the works for quite a long time, but due to COVID and various other factors, they will never be new. I have the new owner here. I have here a representative for the new owner here as well. We spoke to Lindsay from the BCA, and she said that both of us needed to be here for the hearing.
Okay, so put your name and address on the record also. You're the new owner, so you represent 560 Sunrise Highway LLC.
Correct.
The old, okay, go ahead, put your.
I represent the old new one.
Yeah, you got
560 Sunrise Highway.
adjusted, so yeah, you just need to speak loud.
I represent the new owner, 560 Sunrise Highway LLC. My name is Evelyn.
Oh, so the entity the entity that owns it has not changed, or has it?
It's 560 Sunrise LLC is the new owner's name.
The one that's on the application.
560 Sunrise Highway LLC is the one that's on the application. The new owners are 560 Sunrise LLC without the highway.
I see.
So we're amending the name to reflect the new one of 560 Sunrise LLC. Correct?
Yes.
But we're also going to need any other change, for example, the principals, that we'll need a new disclosure for that. So have you done any of that, or have you been made aware of that?
When I called and spoke to somebody from the BCA, they said that possibly that would be required from the new owner, and that she could fill it out here.
Okay, so we'll amend, at some point we'll amend the caption to reflect the new owner, and then when Ms. Spoke gets back, I want to make sure that we have some communication between either Dawn. Would that be the purview of, in other words, the entity name is changing, but its ownership is changing too. We can handle the caption in here, but I don't know what paperwork needs to be filed in the office.
Yes, everything would have to be changed.
Okay, so when you're done here, I'm going to need you to go down there. Give me one second. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hear the testimony here now. We'll probably end up putting it on reserve until that paperwork is filed, changing various names, whatever needs to be filed. You'll check when you leave here. You go down to the office, and is there someone down there who's able, who knows what to do?
I'll walk them down.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead. So, go ahead and tell me what you'd like to tell me other than the change of ownership. Has anything else changed at the premises?
No, it's the same.
Okay, and is the intention under the new ownership that it be operated just as it was under the old ownership?
Yes.
Okay, and there are probably some conditions that were attached to this grant originally. Have you seen those conditions? Have you been given a copy of the conditions, if there were any on the prior grant?
There wasn't any that I was aware of.
If I may, there are 11 conditions that are enumerated on February 11th, 2015, when the grant was initially begun. 11 items.
You know what, before, I don't want to close hearing this case without having you read the conditions and make sure that, I don't want to hear the case, close it, without you having agreed to conditions but you've not seen them. I think maybe I should, why don't I do this? Why don't I temporarily adjourn and let you go in the back, down the hallway, read the conditions, make sure they're acceptable to you so that when you come back in, we can put on the record that these conditions are acceptable to the new owner, okay? And then we'll finish it with this. Let's do that.
Second call, basically?
Whatever, yes, second call, however you want to do it. I just want to, so when you're done reading the conditions and are you in a position, do you have the authority to accept those conditions as the new owner?
I'm the office administrator, so I have to find out.
Okay, check with whoever is in, and then when you come back, we'll put on the record who you'll represent that you spoke to so-and-so who's giving you the authority on behalf of the entity to accept the conditions. At least we'll get that on the record.
Mr. Vogel?
Yes.
You're an attorney, right, ma'am? paralegal. So
Planning Commission.
I guess my question is, it needs a new disclosure
Yes.
affidavit, et
Yeah,
cetera.
they're going to have to do that down in the office after.
They'll have to take that back and have the owner of the property LLC.
Yes.
Right, because they would have to consent.
Yeah, but we'll hold the decision pending paperwork, we'll amend the caption, and we'll just make a record here of accepting the conditions of the prior grant, because otherwise we have to read it.
But then we have another record, yeah. got it.
Exactly.
But
Anyway, so go ahead and do that.
Have you closed on the property yet?
October 19th, 2022. I have a copy of the deed.
All right, so when you come back in and you're ready, just give Mr. Owens a nod, and we'll call you back. First, just give it to her. Start voting, just so we can start that all. Right. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next, we have case 523, Belmore, Joseph and Suzanne Callan. Renewal of grant to maintain pool and pool equipment in the front yard and 6-foot-high solid vinyl fence forward dwelling and large pool installation area, known as 2810 Robert Lane. There is an application for appearance with
Sign-in sheet. Oh, all right. No one being present in opposition or interested on the matter, grant the request for an application waiver. The premises were inspected on October 17th of 2022 and found to be in compliance with all applicable conditions. Are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case placed on the decision calendar. When the board makes its decision, the applicant will receive a written notice.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Next, we have case 623, Belmore, Michael Vitale. Install pool and pool equipment not permitted in side yard and with less than required side yard setback, also known as 2641 Fenway Way. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Take seats, state your name and address, and come on.
One, everyone. Do you mind if I come up and stand up back? Oh, that's
What is it? Back it up.
It's just a scientific proof and documentation that was collected throughout the process.
Okay.
It's a reasoning of why it was installed.
So it's an expert report?
No, it's not. It's a personal, very personal.
But I mean, who wrote the report?
I did.
Okay. And it fairly and accurately represents, are there photographs in it?
There it is, yes.
Okay, so did you take the photographs?
I did.
They fairly and accurately represent what they purport to represent?
They did, yes.
Okay, we'll accept that into evidence.
Thank you.
Mr. Vitale, the pool is already installed, correct?
Correct, it is, sir.
So we have to amend the caption to say maintain pool.
Is the only thing holding up the CO on it, the CC on it, this year? Is it fully
It's fully installed in operation,
and
yes.
enclosed?
It's enclosed with an exterior fence. From what I understand, if it gets approved, I was told that we would need to install a upper pool fence.
It's an above ground?
It's above ground, correct, yes.
Okay. Just give me a second. Okay, go ahead and tell us what you want to talk about.
Sure, thank you. So my name is Mike Vitale. I live at 2641 Mule Lane in Belmore. March of 2020, obviously, due to the pandemic. My oldest son, who his birthday is today, he turns 11 today, who was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, sensory processing integration disorder, attention deficit disorder, as well as Tourette's syndrome. And obviously the challenges that come along with that is making sure that he receives all the adequate therapies and care throughout his daily movements. when they started homeschooling back in March of 2020. Unfortunately, Cole lost all of his therapies. One of his main therapy was aquatic therapy, hydrotherapy, swim therapy, 5 days a week at Safety Swim, at Drown Safety Swim in Westbury at the Marriott Hotel, Safety Swim in Belmore, and it was one of the things that Cole had found to be extremely calming. A full integration of his sensory, motor skills, gross motor skills were all showing adequate to extensive improvement throughout the years of swim training, swim therapy. In response to the lack of 11 therapy sessions per week due to homeschooling during the pandemic, my wife and I lived somewhere in the back, pages 6 through 9. We built an entire physical therapy and occupational therapy gym in our garage to combat his loss of occupational therapy, physical therapy, and other fitness training, strength training that he was receiving in school and outside school benefits.
That's pretty impressive.
It was very impressive, but just a little background. I served in Iraq, 2 tours, 13 years in the military. My wife and I have 20 years of law enforcement experience with the NYPD. And I believe, as any parent would do with a child on the spectrum, once they're taken out of their routine and things start to change, unfortunately for my son, his behavior started to diminish. We saw changes at home. We saw regression at home due to homeschooling. And as any parent, I would like to believe, would do, we took the advantage of having the opportunity to do this in our home, in our garage. When the weather started getting nice, we did try to reach out to the town to get an application for the pool. Unfortunately, my request went unheard, and it was more, I think, due to my ignorance on how to obtain a permit and actually follow the Nassau County process. I purchased the pool in May. They installed it in July. And at that point, as most people install pools for recreational purposes, which we do at sometimes do use it for recreational purposes, we installed the pool so my son could then get back into his swim therapy. And during the pandemic, we were able to find instructors and trainers that were willing to come to our home and do the swim therapy outside in our home, at our house. And we started to once again regain his extensive training for gross motor skills, sensory integration. His behavior started to increase and started to come back to what it was prior to the pandemic. And still 3 years later, we now continue to have swim therapy at home from multiple therapists that arrive in our house between June and September. Our hope was always to put a heater in the pool to get him 6 months into the pool. It's a very small pool, it's probably a little bigger than his desk. But it gets everything that he needs to do in the pool. And being that we had invested the money and the time in doing it, to have it taken down and then having to pay all the money to have him utilize these services externally would really diminish the funding, since we did have to take some loans out to make sure that he was getting the therapy and everything that we needed to get at home.
So let me ask you, there is a fence around the larger area. Sometimes, often, I know you said you've been told you have to put a smaller fence around the outside. There does have to be something like that.
Yes.
Oftentimes, the larger fence is sufficient with a variance, so it's considered a fence larger than the pool area.
Yes.
So that you work out with the department. You also mentioned something about chain link. Now, the fence is supposed to be not climbable. I think a chain link is probably climbable.
Right. So I'm sorry, we don't have a chain link fence.
Oh, okay.
It's all solid vinyl.
Okay, good. That makes me feel better. So,
I'm sorry. The plot plan that's submitted needs to be fixed. It's chain link fence, partially chain link and vinyl fence.
So what they did was, in response to this application being open, they actually had me open up a new application for the fence that was installed 12 years ago, which is a vinyl fence around the entire property. So where the chain link is showing on that survey or the plot, it's actually a 4-foot vinyl fence.
okay.
Could you approach, please?
Sure.
Yes.
So we need to know where it's 4 feet and where it's 2 meters.
Yeah, so that's the surprise they didn't send out, national survey to the fence.
Oh, there is a survey?
Yeah, I had all my hard architect to do it, so this is all of this is 4-foot vinyl, and then it's 6-foot vinyl. Sorry, yeah, let's do 4-foot vinyl. So 4-foot vinyl here, to here, and then 6 foot to here. Is it on the right?
I can't hear it. So that's why. Since he's here.
All of this,
Okay.
This is all 4 feet. We'll hold it back. So there's squares. And then this is what, 6 feet.
This is 6.
This is 4 feet. And that's what 6 feet.
So the blue is,
Wait, just this is connected here.
No, that's the driveway. And then there's a lock gate here and a lock gate here, so you can't get into the pool.
Okay, so this is 4.
And then,
It's gotta be this 5.
and then my neighbor has a 6-foot vinyl fence connected to my pool.
So there is actually a 6-foot barrier.
Correct. Yes.
We saw that. Exactly. Inspector, if that's what it is.
Yes.
Right.
6 foot.
Yeah, they always have to be in 5. But I'm gonna leave that to the judge.
I think that's what they want to look at actual fence. Exactly. Yes. It's still this garage. Yeah, it's still active as a garage. Yes. I don't know. Understood. No, that's the street. Yeah. Okay.
You know, you can let the record reflect that the applicant came up to clarify for one of our board members where the fence, what type of fence is in each location and the height of such fence.
I've also attached inside that packet in the back, all the neighbors surrounding the pool have given me a written letter saying that they do not object to the pool being on the premise and has no bearing on their property.
And that letter, I assume,
There's about 5 letters, and I also have another one that I have a chance to get a copy of that I found in my mailbox today. So.
and just for clarification, given that the pool, even though it's listed as an install, it's actually in place. So I presume that those neighbors who fill this out are okay with the location exactly of the pool because it's there.
Correct.
Because it is only a 1-foot setback, which some neighbors might have a problem with, but we know it's there and they still don't.
Yes, ma'am. And there's also a letter from my son's developmental pediatrician to reasons why it is beneficial to him to continue to receive home swim therapy as well as his fitness and strength trainer. And again, like I said, 5 of all the attached homeowners.
Where's that letter? Which one is it? Is it detached or not?
it's detached, but it's in a.
That's right. Mr. Bull. You know what, I'm gonna give you back copies of the letters of your son's medical condition. You testified to it.
Yep.
It's on there. And I'm not comfortable with child's medical.
That's fine.
Information being in a publicly available file.
Absolutely.
Okay, so anyone, whoever, look at it. Is that the only letter that basically,
Yes,
you
correct. Yes, anything that would violate any borough. Although it doesn't.
It's not
but-
fair to you.
I
You've
understand.
given us the information.
Thank you.
We'll take you at your word. And hopefully you'll be able to give your son whatever he needs.
This is unbelievable.
All right. Is there anything else you wish to add?
No, ma'am, that's it.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case be placed on the board's decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified by mail.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Have a nice day. Thank you for your service. Patrick, Patrick, will recall the first case.
We're going to recall case 423 Baldwin. Rule grants maintain special exception for outdoor storage of used automobiles for non-conforming auto repair shop. Maintain a variance in off-street parking. Maintain special exception to park in the present district. Maintain 6-foot high fence known as 560 Sunrise Highway.
Give me 1 second. All right, so were you able to review the 11 conditions which were on the original grant, and the date of that was February 11th of 2015?
Yes.
Okay, and did you speak with someone?
Yes.
And what's the name of that?
His name is Amelia.
Is he the owner of the entity?
Yes.
Or at least the managing director?
He's the member.
Okay. And did you relay the conditions, the 11 conditions to him?
Yes. I sent it to him in text and I read it to him.
Okay, and are those conditions acceptable to the entity?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if there's any issue forward, if we have to get more information, we might have to have you back. I doubt it, but at least this gives me a preliminary basis to hopefully we can proceed without having to come back in. Let's see. The board.
Mr. Baldwin, did you review them with them?
Yeah, so essentially we need a disclosure from the owner, just agreeing to, because we can't put conditions on anything that the owner does not agree to.
Okay.
So any grant would be subject to the condition that a disclosure is submitted by the owner agreeing to any sort of previously existing condition.
Thank you.
And you were out of the room, Mr. Vogel, but we also instructed that they will go after the hearing down to BCA, and there may be other documents that need to be updated and or changed, given the new ownership. The names only changed slightly, but it is new ownership.
Right.
So, okay, is there anything else you'd like to add before I finish up? Okay, the premises were inspected on 6/8 of 2022 and found to be in compliance with all previously imposed conditions. Are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case placed on the decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you'll be notified.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Yes. We need to, Mr. Vogel, we're going to amend the caption. Basically, just the word highway comes out. The new entity and new ownership.
So it's 560 Sunrise LLC?
Exactly. It took me a couple of times to get that. All right.
Next, we have case 723, Merrick, Richard, and Diana Katz. Variance of plot area occupied and maintained in addition attached garage. That's 3317 Robin. Before I tell you, Stacy, situation.
Lisa Koshia with Carmen's Arrest, 338 Jericho Turnpike, number 396, Syosset, New York, 11791.
Good morning, Ms. Fisher.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year to you.
I'm here representing Mr. Katz, who wishes to maintain and legalize a rear addition. This property is located in the Residence B zone. The rear addition has the lot coverage to 30.3%, where the required is 27.5%, which is a minimal change of only 2.8%. This addition was constructed about 22 years ago. My clients were under the assumption from the contractor that he had hired that everything was filed, and he found out when he went to sell the home last year that it actually was not filed.
And actually, 22 years ago, it was put on, the allowable coverage was 30%. So it would have only been 0.3% over at the time, so that would have been where the confusion was.
Okay. So Mr. Katz respectfully requests your approval today.
So the addition, what you're seeking a variance for is the rear addition, 22.8 feet by 5.25 feet?
Correct.
A small addition.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case be placed on the board's decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified by that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Next, we have cases 823 through 923. Rosa Hendrick Fayette. Variance lot area occupied, maintain sunroom, attached dwelling, install, replace 4-foot high fence with a clear sight triangle at both neighbors' driveway and located in clear sight triangle at corner, known as 330 Park Avenue. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, that's got it. Just take a seat and state your name and address and microphone.
Tina Pendello, 549 Hempstead Turnpike, West Hempstead, New York, 11552.
Hendrick Fayette, 330 Park Avenue, Roosevelt, New York, 11572.
Good morning. Good morning, children, members of the board. Happy New Year. I'm representing Hendrick Fayette of 330 Park Avenue in Roosevelt. The property is located on the northeast corner of Park Avenue and Greenwich Avenue in Residence A. We're requesting a variance to maintain a sunroom and proposed fencing. Mr. Fayette purchased the home in 2021 and money was held in escrow to obtain a permit for the sunroom. The sunroom violates the lot coverage allowed in Residence A of 25%. The lot coverage provided is 31.51%. According to the seller, the sunroom had been there for at least 25 years, and as far as she knows, there's been no complaints on the property. The house was built in 1927, and we filed a non-conforming permit, which was issued with conditions, one of which being obtaining a permit for the sunroom. Soon after Mr. Fayette moved in, our car ran through the existing chain link fence on Park Avenue. Mr. Fayette at that point filed an application to replace the existing chain link fence with a 4-foot picket fence, and was advised that that would require a variance. He is away a lot serving in the military, and he has come home to find people sleeping on his property, and after the car went through the fence, he became very concerned. He would like to install a 4-foot picket fencing on Park Avenue that would be in a clear side triangle on Park Avenue and Greenwich Avenue. And the clear side triangle where the neighbor's driveway on Park Avenue is. All of this will be replacing the existing chain link fence that's there now. He's also requesting a 6-foot PVC fencing going past his house and line of his driveway. I'm very respectfully asking the board to grant these variances.
That's along the portion that's between the two clear side triangles, that 6-foot PVC there.
Yes.
And then is the PVC on the other corner, which would sit more like the rear, is that section there? That's most of that is as of right.
The 6-foot PVC?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the back, right?
Correct.
There's a small section running along Greenwich also, or is that going to be changed to 4-foot?
That's going to be 6-foot on Greenwich. The corner, the clear side triangle, will be the 4-foot picket.
On both ends of that?
Correct. And then on Greenwich, from the beginning of the house to where the driveway, where the garage starts, it would be a 6-foot PVC.
The middle section between the two clear sides, right?
I'm sorry. I used to talk.
So along the property line running parallel with Greenwich, it looks to me like there's two 4-foot sections on each end and a middle section of 6 feet.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
And that middle section of 6 feet is intended to remain there.
Yes.
And then there'll be picket corners.
Correct.
So the picket fence on the corner where the two streets intersect, Park and Greenwich, the 4-foot picket fence is going to run 19.25 feet east on Greenwich.
Yes.
And then it will pick up from there. It's a 100-foot depth lot, so that from the 20 feet it would be approximately, there's no number in here, 6 feet to the driveway. Well, it breaks it.
Because you have 1925 and 1860, so rough that to 40, if it's 150. So there's about 60 feet of 6-foot 60 linear feet, approximately of 6-foot high PVC running along Greenwich. And you have 3 4-foot picket corners.
Yes.
Is there any school or churches or public assembly that would have traffic on East Greenwich as well as Park Avenue? Stop sign on that corner?
No, is there a stop sign on the corner? There was a stop sign on the corner.
On Greenwich?
Greenwich and Park.
Or which directions? Going sort of southwest on.
Okay, so on the clear side triangle on Greenwich and Park, there's a stop sign going southwest.
Okay.
It's a picket fence. Do you have a copy or an example of what the picket fence is going to look like as far as the spacing of the pickets?
No. This would be a standard PVC picket fence, but I don't know. Nothing is standard. That's true.
The reason why I'm questioning it is because it potentially could become a safety issue. When you pull up there with a picket fence, solid picket fence, you may not be able to visibly see people crossing from Park Avenue going south, crossing over Greenwich. So if you're stopped on the side of your house or the front, you may not see pedestrians. So the building department has come up with a condition on picket fences that they have to be spaced a certain amount of opening so that you can see across that a car could.
Maybe we could put that condition in if they were to use it.
I think, Ms. Mandel, you're familiar with what the specs are for the requirements for picket fences?
Yes, should be a 4-foot minimum between each section, each picket.
4 inches. Now.
4 inches. Yeah, 4 inches. Yes.
And Ms. Pangella, one last thing. So I see that the applicant's driveway is on East Greenwich, and that cornering of, I believe it is, that's where the garage is. Is your driveway on? Okay. And the neighbor's driveway that you're cutting out a triangle for, is it by your fence, right by your driveway? Okay. So as to the neighbor to your, I guess, northwest, it's on here as Jose A. Campos. Is his driveway near your property or somewhere else on this?
It is.
It's right by where you're cutting out, so that's why you're cutting out, not cutting out, but putting the picket there instead.
Correct. I would prefer to do 6-foot fencing. However, my understanding is because of the driveway.
Yes.
See, in addition to that, because of the positioning of the property, my understanding is that in the front it has to be low. You can have 4 foot up to the corner, 3 foot. That's the ordinance. But in the backyard, 6-foot fencing. So
yeah, correct.
Really look as high as possible, but due to the fact that with less than a year from closing on the property, there's a car accident. I've been told there's been 3 car accidents in the last 2 years. I was actually deployed when deployed on. I won't say too much in public, but I was deployed in New Jersey, dealing with some serious things, and I had to rush home because of the accident, the police report, things like that. I actually, my family lives around the corner. I know the neighborhood very well. I've been there 20 I've been there 30 years. I've been 2 times on the Board of Education. I'm still in the military, and I come home one random day, there's a stranger laying out in front of my garage, which is open. It's currently an open space. Things could have happened very differently in that situation, but I chose to handle it a different way. I woke this person up. This person just deranged. It's an EDP, emotionally distressed person, and we know the climate of the world right now in the country. You know what I mean? I'm just doing this for my protection. I'm single. I live alone. As Tina said, I am not home too often, so I like this for my personal protection. And my family they live around the corner on East Pennington, so you can walk. Whatever specs you like for me to have to give me a peace of mind, I would greatly appreciate it. That's all I can do.
Understood. Okay, Ms. Manuel, is there anything else?
No.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
There are open permits, as you're aware.
Yes.
In addition, repair fire damage, move fire damage, rip veneer, and maintain a non-conforming conditions.
Yes, the building inspector's been there for the fire damage, and we had to do the non-conforming, and we'll get all those closed out, so I think we can release semester.
Any other questions from the board?
I move.
I move the hearing be placed on the decision calendar with the notified by mail for its decision.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service on behalf of the board.
Next, we have case 1123, Merrick Damon of Pedoro. Variance of lot area occupied in the side yard. Side yard is aggregate construct pergola with outdoor kitchen and fenced dwelling units 100 Byron Road. Swear affirm tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Got it? Yes. 16 minutes. Thank you.
Morning, members of the board, Chair. Happy New Year. My name is Mark Anthony, Monastery Architect. My office is located at 1563 Belmore Avenue in Belmore, and today I am representing my client, Mr. and Mrs. Papadoro, who are the owners and occupants of the subject property.
Morning, Mr. Monastery.
Give us a second.
Just load up the paperwork in this room here. We're handing it out.
Thank you so much. So today we're requesting variances to construct a pergola attached to the house that has an outdoor kitchen under it. The outdoor kitchen will consist of a barbecue, a sink, a pizza oven, and a refrigerator, which will be at the seating counter area. This is a covered area of 14 by 21 foot pergola. Both pergola and kitchen are attached to the house and in line with the house. The side yard and aggregate side yards need to be reduced from the required 5.83 feet for the minimum to 5.12 feet for the side yard. And we'd also like to reduce the aggregate side yard from the required 17.5 to 14.22. Both of these are existing conditions and neither are adding to the addition any additional encroachment.
Wait a minute. What's existing? That you're here for the kitchen part, right? Are you saying the pergola is existing?
No, the existing side yard setbacks, both aggregate and minimum.
Also, Mr. Monastery, I don't understand why you don't need horizontal ones.
I don't know. I think because it's attached to the home, that's why.
Okay.
So it becomes part of the house. It's not a
Standalone.
Would you like me to do that again?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, great. Cool. We'd also like to increase the lot coverage from 25% to 25.8%, which is over to 76 square feet. Let me just make it simpler. It's an attached roof over that comes off the corner of the house. In my opinion, this doesn't have an aggregate side yard, but they count it as an aggregate side yard because it extends past the back of the house. But they're taking the two minimum side yards. So we want to reduce the combined side yard, aggregate, and the minimum side yard. Right. So we want to reduce the minimum side yard from 5.83 to 5.12.
Because it's 70-foot frontage.
That's
Correct.
right.
It is over 5 foot because it's now a percentage. You are correct, and it is existing. And then
when was the house built?
I can say 1948.
So in 1948, the side yard aggregate requirement was 15 feet with a minimum of 1.5.
So 2007.
So you're basically complying with that. except that the ordinance has changed.
And what's the aggregate?
Well,
What's the aggregate you propose now in this requirement percentage?
So the required is 17.5, road testing 14.22.
And how about open permit?
So there is an open permit to do an attached garage. We actually designed that garage. I'm not sure why he hasn't finished it yet. I think because he didn't side the back of the garage just yet.
Well, that one, so we didn't close it because he had finished.
He did. The back we made 5. This has been a long term. He actually works for the building department, not the town of Hempstead, but the city. So he thinks a lot about this.
That's the case, Mr. Munster?
That is.
Any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed and take place on the decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munster.
Next, we have cases 1223, 1323, Franklin Square, Wilma Hughes. Variances, lot area occupied, side yards aggregate, maintain addition and roof over, all attached to dwelling, maintain shed with lot area occupied variances. 120 Madison Ave. For the record, Young cited earlier.
Tina Mangallo, 549 Hempstead Turnpike, that's Hempstead, New York, 11552. Again, I'm representing Wilma Hughes of 120 Madison Avenue, Franklin Square. The property is located on the east side of Madison Avenue, 100 feet south of Rockville Street in Residence C. We're requesting variances to maintain a roof-over patio attached to the dwelling, a one-story addition, and a shed. The roof over the patio violates the side yard setback required of 5 feet. The roof over is to the property line. The side yard aggregate required is 15 feet, and the aggregate provided is 5.1 feet. The lot coverage allowed in Residence C is 35%, and the lot coverage provided is 40.9%. The roof over has been there for approximately 30 years. There is no garage, and this provides a place to park, especially in the rain and snow. The one-story addition violates the side yard required of 15 feet, the side yard aggregate, required of 15 feet. The side yard aggregate provided is 12.1 feet. It also violates the lot coverage allowed of 35%, where the lot coverage is 40.9%. The addition is used as a heated sunroom. The existing shed also violates the lot coverage allowed of 35%. It is 40.9. It is a 12 by 8 shed and is 9 feet high, so it does comply with all the other requirements and has been there for approximately 20 years. Mrs. Hughes' husband passed away, and she's thinking of selling her house and would like to get everything in order, and respectfully asking the board to grant these variances.
Are there any open building permits?
No. There are not.
All right, are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case placed on the decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Mangallo.
Thank you.
Next, we have case 1423, Levittown, Joseph and Barbara Orbigan. Variances, lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, maintain addition to garage converted to living space with portico attached thereto. All attached to dwelling. Variances, lot area occupied, side yards aggregate, maintain roof over patio attached to dwelling. What's known as 39 Tower Lane.
I'm representing Joseph and Barbara Orbigan of 39 Tower Lane in Levittown. The property is located on the north side of Tower Lane, 140 feet west of Short Lane in the LPRD district. We're requesting variances to maintain a front addition, a garage converted to living space with a portico that violates the lot coverage allowed, side yard and side yard aggregates, and roof over a patio that exceeds the lot coverage allowed in the side yard and side yard aggregates. The additions and the garage conversion with portico violate the side yard setback required of 5 feet. Side yard provided is 0.5 feet. The side yard aggregate required is 15 feet, and the aggregate provided is 7 feet. The maximum lot coverage allowed in the LPRD district is 30%, and the lot coverage provided is 30.27%. The rear roof over the patio violates the side yard required of 5 feet. The side yard provided is 0.5 feet. The side yard aggregate required is 15 feet, and the aggregate provided is 7 feet. The lot coverage allowed is 30%, and the lot coverage provided is 30.27%. These structures have been there for approximately 15 years when the family was growing, and they needed additional room to take care of their elderly mother. I'd like to submit letters from 5 neighbors indicating they have no objections to the board granting these variances. The house is in contract, and the Ritos will be moving. However, these issues need to be addressed before they can close, and they're respectfully asking the board to grant these variances.
Now, the photos you submitted indicate that above ground swimming pool.
That has been removed.
Has been removed?
Yes.
The roof over is on the property line in essence.
Yeah, point values.
Do you know if you submitted a photo of that encroachment in the zero setback?
I did, but I should have copies here.
Is that the aluminum? It's not aluminum patio, that's wood building.
Yes.
Could you circle that where it is? What's the encroachment, please? I think I might have the same photo. So it remains open. It's roofed over, but you can pass through the side yard.
Correct. Yes.
And would you find your client to say that they would never completely enclose that side yard and cover it
without advance,
without a structure other than a roof over?
Absolutely.
And your comments are all closed. Thank you.
Is that the case, Ms. Miguel?
Yes.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed. The case based on the decision calendar when the board renders its decision, you will be notified.
Thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Ms. Miguel.
Next we have case 1623, near Valley Street. Elliot Baum and Malka Hadassah Baum. Variances exceeds number of stories, lot area occupied, front yard average setback, construct 3-story additions, 3rd-story deck and covered porch, all attached as well. Known as 917 Hempstead. Okay, feel free to bring it. Swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so we got it. Please state your name and for the record.
Good morning. Happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Shmuel Brown. I'm the applicant architect, and I'm representing the homeowners at 917 Cliffside. We're here today seeking variances connected to alteration addition that were to the existing 2-family dwelling. This property is currently a 2-story home without an actual basement. The house is at grade, so there's 2 stories, and the homeowners find themselves short of space for them and their 5 children. They're looking to do an alteration addition to enlarge the house.
Did you say that it was a 2-family dwelling?
No, 2-story.
Oh, 2-story. Okay, good. That's
No worries, no worries. So it's an existing two-story dwelling, there's just no basement. And so part of the alteration that we're seeking to do is to add a third story, which requires a variance from the town of Hempstead. We're not permitted to do a third story, to do 2.5 stories. So that is one of the variances we're seeking for a third story proposed. The second variance we're seeking relates to lot coverage. We're permitted typically to have a building area of 27.5%, which is 1,966.25 square feet in this specific property. We're seeking a variance for 30.95% or 2212.91. For the house itself, there's an additional deck that's giving us an additional 4.89%. The deck is approximately 349.94 square feet. So on the notes in the zoning analysis, where it says total lot coverage 35.84, we exceed the allowable 30%. 4.89 of that is actually the proposed deck at the second story. Do you have a question? Not finding something?
No, just looking at it, we gotta wait this.
Oh, come on. Okay, so that's the second of the two variances.
Wait a second. Just want to catch up here.
Okay.
This is your third floor. Third floor has laundry, bedroom, bedroom.
I can go through the floors, which makes it a little easier. So on the proposed third story, we're going to have master bedroom, and we have 4 children's rooms, and then accessory bathrooms and laundry room at the upper level, which is typical for one family house. At the first floor level, we have your typical dining room, living room, entry foyer, office, side mudroom, family room, breakfast area, and kitchen, and a small Passover kitchen off to the center. And at the lowest level, they have a children's play area and accessory guest bedrooms for guests and family members when they come to visit. Going back to the number of variances being sought, the third one is for a front yard, where you have an average rear setback of 25 foot 5 3/4, seeking a front yard of 20 feet 5.5. This is in actuality just a covered porch. We're not pushing forward on the house that much more, but the covered porch is where you measure the average front yard setback to on an application. So I would say we're maybe pushing out a foot on the house, but like 4 more feet on the actual covered porch at just the front entry. So the house is primarily 23 1.5 with just the porch covering at 20 feet 5. It's on the site plan, so you can see the setbacks on the proposed third story. At the left side, there's a dimension line, and then at the front entrance, there's also a dimension line. So those are the 3 variances we're seeking today. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to entertain them.
How many other 3-story dwellings are there in the neighborhood?
Well, it's funny. This specific property,
It's not funny.
this property is near the flood zone, and where you have flood zone issues, typically, you will have people filing 2 stories, but this specific property was knocked out of the flood zone by the homeowner through FEMA, so it's actually near it, but it's not in it officially, so it's not in the flood zone. That being said, there aren't that many 3 stories, although they all do come close to, at least on the new construction, 30 feet in height, and so we were sensitive to that fact. On the elevation, you can see on page 200, I'm just going to tell you it's page number 10. Even though it is 3 stories, we try to really minimize the impact visually, so it's 30 feet from the crown of the road. It's not from the design elevation because it's not in the flood zone, but it looks much more diminutive than your typical 3-story dwelling would look, because we try to minimize the impact of the height. We planted the front of the house with planters, and we did a planter around the staircase going up, so that it has a little bit more of a elevated or ranch-like feel. So it doesn't look like a 3rd story, it just feels like an elevated 2nd story.
The crown there is at 10.
The crown of the road is 10.01 as the calculation based off the survey. So the proposed ridge is at 40.01, which is 30 feet from the crown of the road.
How many bedrooms are in the house now?
In the current house, we currently have 3 bedrooms on the first floor, the second floor, which is the main living level, with the living and dining room. And at the lower level, they have 2 bedrooms, and miscellaneous space, play area, laundry. So 5 currently between the 2
And
floors.
how many baths?
In the current house, they have 1 bathroom at the lowest level and 2 bathrooms at the upper level.
This is a high ranch.
Currently, it's designed as a high range, so we'd be keeping the high range layout but adding a story.
What about the garage, 2-car garage?
So currently the garage is not being used as a garage. It was converted at some point to an office and laundry room. So they wouldn't be utilizing it because they weren't utilizing its own.
So it's living space, I guess.
Well,
It's living space.
yes, it's going to be living space. I mean, we're taking out the garage, we're eliminating the garage and making it all living space on the lowest level.
All right, so is that your case?
That's it. Case, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Do you wish to say anything? All right, are there any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case be placed on the board's decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified by mail.
Thank you so much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Next, we case 1723, Woodmere, Jeffrey, and Allison Austin. Variances to lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, rear yard, construct, 2-story addition to both attached dwelling. 932 Rising Terrace.
I'm representing Jeffrey and Allison Ashlander of 132 Arlene Terrace in Woodmere. The property is located on the north side of Arlene Terrace, 84.25 feet west of Norman Way in Residence Bay. We're requesting a variance to construct 2-story additions, both attached to the dwelling, that violate the lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, and rear yard. The maximum lot coverage allowed is 27.5%, and the lot coverage provided would be 37.15%. The side yard required is 5.12, and the side yard proposed will be 5 feet. The side yard aggregate required is 15.37, and the aggregate proposed will be 14 feet 10 3/4 inches. So there's no change from the existing side and side yard aggregates of the original dwelling. The rear yard required for a 2-story addition is 25 feet, and the rear yard proposed is 18 feet 3.5 inches. The rear 2-story addition will be in line with the 1-story family room. This addition will provide for a larger kitchen for a growing family and an additional bedroom on the 2nd floor. The front 2-story addition will enlarge the living room on the 1st floor. The 2nd floor will give them a larger master bedroom with a sitting room, a bathroom, and a walk-in closet, and enlarge the existing bedrooms for the children. They are a family of 5 and respectfully asking the board to grant this variance.
And there's no basement.
Correct.
It's a crawl space. And how high are you going? What's the proposed height?
30 feet.
How big is the parcel?
It is 61.50 by 100.
Thank you.
the hearing be closed, the case be placed on the board's decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified by mail.
Thank you very much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Pinkham.
Thank you.
Are you done yet today?
No, I'm going to sleep 60 minutes. I didn't sleep last night.
Next case is 1823 Wonton, Eric Kajukowicz. Variances rear yard construct garage patio both attached to dwelling. Number 1260 Walter Drive.
How did you practice that name?
So, actually, sound that Hajdukiewicz.
Say it again?
Hajdukiewicz.
Yeah.
So once again, good morning. Mark Anthony, Monastery Architect. Our office is located at 1563 Belmont Avenue in Belmont, and I was representing my client, Mr. and Mrs. Eric Hajdukiewicz, who are the owners and occupants of the property. Today, the variance we're requesting is to construct a garage and roofed-over patio, which will not meet the rear yard setback. This is all in conjunction with a first-floor renovation and second-story addition. My clients purchased this property about 4 or 5 years ago and quickly outgrown the house with the addition of their 4 children. When they purchased the house, the existing garage was originally converted, I believe, in 1998, which turned into a dining room. So there's very little storage in this deck, which is tools and art equipment, and he has a collector car as well. Presently, he has a temporary garage on the site right now, which he also like to remove. Part of the design was to incorporate a large garage and the covered patio area. The property is in a skewed corner lot, and the house is set back quite far on the north side and also in the backyard. This is the closest to that side. The client's property is backed up by a doctor's office behind him, which is on Wanter Avenue, and across the street is the Wanter Shopping Center across Flower Avenue. Our only request is to reduce the rear yard setback from the required 15 feet to 5.27 feet at the closest point. It actually progressively gets further and actually meets the requirement as we head south. That's our only request.
And this, because as you mentioned, the unique shape of the parcel.
So if the property on that side was the full 100, I believe we would actually make the rear yard setback.
Well, it's 90 that way, but it's huge the other way. It's the odd shape of it that allows.
It is.
Unless you want to put a triangle-shaped house.
So, no, but we did actually try putting the garage and roofed-over patio, which we want to connect to, which is going to incorporate that kitchen and that, just on the other side. It just didn't work quite as well. They have an existing garage on that. They have an existing garage on that side, as you know, but we just wanted also for parking. So you can say it's a relatively busy corner because of everything that kind of goes on there. It's an entrance. Flower Avenue is kind of an entrance into that whole area behind the shopping center.
So he's just going to have to add another curb cut, I guess, right? Because his curb cut's on the other side, right?
No, the curb cut is on the north side of the property.
Oh, okay, that looks like a big walkway. And
So he's not going to bring it in from Flower Avenue. Although the doors are on Flower Avenue, that's the size of we're increasing the size of the driveway, so he kind of pulls in and then we'll swing the cars in.
Like this?
Yes.
Curb cut on Flower Avenue, way better.
What's the proximity, if you know, the dwelling on the Clark residence and the Arena residence on Wanter Avenue, their setbacks?
So the Clark Avenue house, which is the doctor's office on Wanter Avenue, actually also runs along Flower. That house was extended. You can see that if you were by it was extended quite a bit. I'm not going to say it's as close approximately as 5 feet, but he's probably within his limit of 15 to that.
Okay.
And then you said Arena?
Yes.
Arena, I don't know, sir.
Thank you.
But honestly, I don't think Arena is quite affected because the Clark property runs 80. So by the time you get to that Arena property, he's off on the front.
Yeah, it's going to scoot around. Doesn't make
That is.
Any other questions from the board?
Move again request that placed on the decision calendar, you will be notified by mail of board's decision once passed.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Mr. Winsberry.
Thank you.
Next we have case 1923, West Hempstead, Nigel and Stanley Day. Variances in lot area occupied, side yard is aggregate, construction one-story addition, garage all attached to well. Also known as 16 Jennings Day. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
So you see, state your name and address for the record.
Good to see you, Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, we're back again. Anyway, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Schaefer.
Have a seat.
Members of the board. Happy New Year, too.
Thank you.
We're here this morning for a relief for the lot area occupied and also the side yard aggregate in the residence B zone in West Hempstead. The subject property was built in the early 1930s on permit number 272, 1930, for a one-family dwelling with a detached garage. The family had purchased the subject property in 2019, and the family has grown a little. There's 4 children, only 3 bedrooms. So the plan was to expand the house and like the area the kids are in school. However, plans to build up were too expensive. So we decided to remove the detached garage, which was almost 400 square feet, and attach a attached garage with a bedroom behind it with bathroom. Creating some area in the backyard so they can have a play area. They could have a swing set where it wouldn't be in the driveway, and they could have the additional bedroom for the children. The lot area occupied, when it was built originally, was almost 30%. And if you look at the radius map, you'll see substandard properties of only 40 by 100, not only abutting, but in the area itself. So by doing any kind of expansion into this property would definitely exceed the 27.5%, which is required because it was built that way originally for the 27.5%. So proposed before the board today, instead of a required 15-foot side yard aggregate, we could only maintain 11.5. But the minimum side yard is still 6.6 where it's required 5. So we made that, but side yard aggregate we had lot area occupied on the latest submission was 35.86%. I don't know if you have the latest plot plan
I
there.
don't, mine's 34.
Well, it's 35.86, but in several changes throughout the delay with COVID in the next few years.
Let's just make sure we have the right one here.
Total lot coverage, it says 30.03.
Well, it's 36.86.
No, you just said 35.86.
Yeah, well, the plans that are submitted have the plot plan on it, but the total, the corrected amount is 35.86.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that you don't need side yard, but I show you were rejected for side yard, so let's get that figured out.
The side yard aggregate would be 11.5.
I got that, but my calendar has you down for side yard also,
Okay.
not just aggregate, so.
Right. Side yard aggregate is being violated as well as lot area occupied.
Right, but in addition to those two, my calendar says you need a minimum side yard variance, also a third variance. So
Well, the minimum
realize-
side yard variance was 4.9 on the original house that was in 1930.
Okay,
So I
so
don't know
that-
why they violated it for that.
Well, that's okay. I just,
All right, well,
so
we can include that.
4.9 versus 5.
And another thing I'd like to mention to the board, if the board would be nice enough to approve this application, it would be limited to a one-story addition, not 2. If we did propose 2 originally, and it was changed, it was too expensive to do that addition.
Okay, the one thing we need to clarify here is the lot area occupied. Let's get the document corrected.
On your plans, it shows 35.86. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay, that's just corrected.
So,
You know, it should I need this right. All right, so let's just have Mr. Schaefer. Can you just correct it on this one and initial, because this is the exhibit for the file. That's separate from the plans. Here, just right here. Put it incorrectly and initial if you wouldn't. That way we'll have the record here, so we don't get any headaches later. 5.86, I think you say. Correct. Initial, Mr. Schaefer, just because you're. All right, let's get it up. The record can just reflect that Mr. Schaefer made the change that was correctly in the file on the plans, but he made it to the exhibit of the site plan / plot plan. Make sure the records in the file are accurate. Is that your case, Mr. Schaefer?
yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions on the board?
I move the hearing be closed and have placed on the decision calendar. You'll be notified by mail of the board's decision.
Thank you, good day.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Next we have case 2023, Levittown, Jam Fitness Incorporated, doing business as Rock Box. Special exception for proposed place of public assembly, amusement portion of existing building. Variances for off-street parking, also known as 3333 and 3449 Hempstead Turnpike. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. State your name and address for the record.
Good morning, members of the board. William Vanessa for Charlie Tirana, 333 Earl Overton Boulevard, Uniondale, New York. Here on behalf of the applicant, Jam Fitness Inc., DBA Rockbox Fitness. Happy New Year. Hope everyone had nice holidays. Seated to my right is Mr. Joseph Colombo. He is the principal of Jam Fitness Inc., the applicant in the application before you. And the request before you is for variance and special permit relief to permit a Rockbox Fitness Center to be introduced to the Levittown Muse Shopping Center. It is deemed a place of assembly and amusement, and as such, needs a special use permit, and also the introduction of the fitness center increases the parking requirement by a small amount, so we're asking for a very de minimis parking variance.
Ms. Vanessa?
Yes.
Are you okay, Stephanie?
Yes. After this, can I take a break?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We're good?
Yeah, proceed.
Thank you. The Levittown Muse Shopping Center is an established shopping center situated on the north side of Hempstead Turnpike in Levittown. It is approximately 380 feet east of Jerusalem Avenue. As noted, it's an established center. It has its sole access from the north side of Hempstead Turnpike. It is anchored by a Walmart store and another store, a cosmetic store called Ulta. And then there's a strip of stores in one building that has a mix of uses that range from restaurants to a tank repairing office, a pool supply shop, an optometrist, a clothing retailer, and then there are two vacant sites, two vacant tenant spaces, one of which is proposed to be occupied by my client and his Rockbox Fitness. He's taking 3,075 square feet for the fitness center. The property maintains 420 parking spaces. The shopping center came before this board back in 2014 when a parking variance was granted to permit the introduction of a 56-seat sandwich shop restaurant. The parking variance being requested now is basically for 6 parking spaces. It's the delta between the retail space that is presently was occupied and is now vacant versus the requirement for the Rockbox Fitness, because retail is at 1 per 200, place of assembly is at 1 per 150. It comes out to 5 point something, and so it's a 6 parking space difference. So based on how the property has been operating in its current form, it was operating with a 19% variance in its form. With the Rockbox Fitness, it would be a 20% parking variance. So there's a 1% increase in the parking efficiency at the site. Very generous.
I think notable is the 6. I think it's very useful that you provided us the 6 spot change.
Okay. The fitness center itself is a class-based center. They operate 7 days a week, but with relatively limited hours. Monday through Friday, they basically open as early as 5 a.m. If demand is high enough, they would go to 10 p.m. That said, their present schedule, they have one open Rockbox Fitness in Hop, and in Hop they operate Monday through Friday. Their earliest class is 5 a.m., their latest class is 7:30 p.m. Again, if they have more demand, they would like to have the ability to have a 9 p.m. Class, but they'll probably start out operating on the same schedule that they operate on in Hop, which Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they have classes at 5, 6:15, 7:30.
Are you going to propose them as a condition that your client would agree to?
Well, these are structured. I'll provide proposed hours of operation that they would fall within, if that's okay, because I can't say that with certainty that these specific class hours will be followed. I will tell you that they stagger their classes so that there are 50-minute classes and there's 25 minutes at minimum between each class, so that people can come in and leave. There's not a problem with it.
It's just the class that's going to take place, and then there's no machines there that they could use after classes.
The only things that they have where they have individual training is they do some personal training. I'll let Mr. Colombo speak to that. But yes, the vast majority of the time they will have their classes taking place. Maximum class size would be 40 people, and that would be at their busiest times, which their peak times are typically the morning from 7:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Those are their peak morning times, like any fitness center. And then in the afternoon, 5 to 8 p.m., those are their peak times. And it actually goes very well with the shopping center. Walmart opens at 6, but it's really not active until 9:30, 10 o'clock. The Ulta doesn't open until 10. And then you have various uses. You have restaurants in the strip center that don't open until lunchtime. You have retailers that really don't have any kind of activity during the morning hours and probably not in the later afternoon and evening hours. So it's a very good mix for the center. But in terms of
can I just say that the hours of operation fine. I just don't think as a business you can lock in the times as you said. I don't think it makes any sense to give us the times of the classes, because you're going to have to be a dynamic business if you want to succeed, and you only need 6 spots. So I just don't think it makes any sense to tie it down.
What I was going to give you was an outside window of hours of operation. Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. That would be the maximum window.
I just think 5 to 10 if we just do 5 to 10, right?
That would be great. If you're willing to grant that, that would be great.
5 in the morning to 10 at night.
Yeah.
Right. That would cover everything. Again, their current schedule is more limited than that, but they would like the ability to grow and accommodate the needs of the community if that should be that there should be desired later classes. So But they would agree to no earlier than 5 a.m., no later than 10 a.m.
Good morning, board members, and happy New Year. I just want to take a moment to talk about the current experience at Hop Pot. We're only open for 2 months. The average class size right now, based on about 250 members, is somewhere between 16 and 22. Our last class in that facility is 7:30, so by 8:30 everyone is out. But as you just mentioned, based on demand, we can expand the evening hours as well. I just wanted to give you a word about Dropbox Fitness. It's not like a big box fitness center. It's boxing, kickboxing, and functional fitness in a boutique setting for a 50-minute class where we focus on burning calories and keeping people moving. And it's definitely designed for beginners. The other components, which are a little different, is that we provide meal plans and supplements. So it's a sort of holistic approach to fitness, whereby people are getting really good results and people are really enjoying boutique fitness. But we're different than other boutique centers because a lot of it's more about just cardio. This is a combination where you're having some fun. It's set to music and cool lighting. So whatever questions you may have, I'd be more than happy to entertain them.
Just touching upon the question that Mr. Pellegrini had about any kind of individual training. The personal training would occur. They typically have classes during the middle of the day. That's when they're least busy. So that's when they'll do some personal training that will take place. But other than that, it's a class-based program, and it runs. And we would maintain the hours that we provide in the introduction.
And the maximum occupancy would be 40?
40 to 40 in a class, and there's only one class at a time.
And how many
employees?
Employees. I'm very familiar with the parking lot.
Yeah.
And the parking is pretty well crowded all the time. And it's not an easy exit or ingress to the place because of it's signalized exiting to Hempstead Turnpike, but you've been there, obviously.
I have.
And
again,
I use that Walmart as my pharmacy, so I'm very familiar. That frequently backs up until where your proposed store is.
It's certainly an active shopping center, but the point being, again, fitness centers have their busiest times early in the day and later in the afternoon and evening. So it's a good mix for non-fitness uses like restaurants, like retail, the Ulta Cosmetics, the optometry store, the tax preparing place, and the restaurants. The restaurants are going to not really get busy at all until lunchtime and evening crowd.
What was there before this?
What was in this space?
I'm not sure.
It was a retail space. That's all I know.
A kids store, perhaps, for clothing.
It might have been kids clothing.
And what's your, do you know how many members you will have when this opens? If it's for, do you already have people signing up, or will it be your Hop people can go there too? Or
Hop people can go there too, but there's quite a distance.
Right.
We usually run a 60 to 90 day campaign pre-launch, and there's 50 locations across the country. Usually several hundred, like about between 200 and 250 have been the amount that usually are signed up in pre-launch. And that equates to somewhere between 16 and 18 per class. So to get to the maximum of, say, 38 to 40, you probably have to have a membership base of 400 plus.
but even with 400, you go work out for the day, you work out once, maybe some people do twice.
Right.
You only have 400 people total who are going to file through there versus us. For example, retail, you have an unlimited number of people, so you could, like if you had 40 people there at once, there's only 360 people left to come there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a finite number of people to use it, so I can't see it being used at maximum as much as like a retail establishment. It's indefinite enough. You could have 40 people there every hour and not run out of people, whereas a gym.
There are those enthusiasts that will go twice a day, and there's a lot of people that actually don't maybe go once a week, or they have a monthly membership and they may only go 3 times a month. That's varied.
Mr. Colombo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd be surprised if you get 400 people in one day. Is that fair to say?
Very fair to say.
Okay. And keep in mind, those classes that would have 40 people would be during the peak times. It would be from 7:30, so from 7 a.m. until 9:30. Those are the ones most likely to have the highest number of people in the classes. As you get later in the morning or before the 5 p.m. class, you're having classes that are 20 people and somewhere in between. So your peak time, 7 to 9:30, that's when you're going to get your 40 people in the class, and then 5.
Okay, so you have 40 people in a class, and so if I join the gym and I don't want to participate in the class, I can just use whatever equipment and machines are there?
No, it's scheduled, so you have to sign up for the class online. It's not anybody cannot just come in or leave on their own. So it's structured, class-based, where there's one instructor and one front desk, so there's 2 employees, and you can have anywhere from 3 people in a class up to 40, but it's not come and go like a Planet Fitness.
But if I'm number 39 in the class,
yes,
I can finish the class. How long is the class?
50 minutes.
After 50 minutes, when the class is over, I can go to the locker room, do whatever I have to do, and then go out and work on machines?
No.
Or are you going to watch me leave?
We're going to watch you leave. Usually it's just 50 minutes in and out. There's a changing area in the front. You'll do your class and then leave after that. So there isn't, per se, locker rooms where there's facilities. There's a small changing room in the front of the facility. So it's in and out.
I'm just basically concerned that, although it's the space is de minimis, so to speak, for retail versus public assembly. I know Planet Fitness in Hicksville has just taken over the parking lot like crazy.
That's a very different use of this. I used to be a member of Planet Fitness, and that is exactly what you described. People coming at any time they want, using whatever machines they want, staying as long as they want. That is not the business plan here. The business plan here is specific to classes. 50-minute classes, you sign up in advance for the classes, not just walking in and saying, hey, I want to take a class at 5 o'clock. You have to sign up in advance, you come in, you take the class, and you leave. There's no reason for you to stay because there are no machines to use for your individual's use.
You would have to sign up for another class. So if you go online or you go to the front desk and sign up and we're fully booked, you'll have to choose another class that particular day or the next day.
And as you noted, we're talking about a six-space, 5.12 space parking efficiency that's being added.
I know, but
as a result.
you and I both know that that's not a realistic number on a gym. You're old enough to remember Blockbuster Video, which was quote-unquote retail.
They were exercising in there.
and you know that the Blockbuster Videos drove the community crazy.
Understood. Very different
and
animal.
Planet Fitness does the same idea. That's why I want to, and I think you should submit proposed conditions to tailor it. There'll be a class of maximum of 40, which will have to be signed up online.
We're fine with that. We're fine with staggered classes, as we've indicated. I'll provide you with a copy of their hot pod schedule. I can't, like I said, I can't say that they won't add a class here or there in there, but we can accept conditions that maximum 40 people to a class, 25-minute delays, at least 25 minutes between classes, and number of employees, maximum of 3 employees on site at any time.
I visited probably 25 Rockbox studios across the country. I've never seen a class with 40. We'd love to have 40 in the class, obviously. I think the average is somewhere between, like my wife is co-owner with me. She took a class this morning at 5. There were 4 people. Sometimes she'll do the 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That averages 12 to 14. Yes, we're new and we've only been there for 2 months. But I think the average class size is going to hover in the mid-20s. That's just the capacity.
That'd be fine. And Mr. Vanessa, what you stated on the record, I would appreciate it if you would reduce what you stated on the record in writing so that
absolutely
we can
not a problem. I'll be happy to provide
kind of
that.
like do a draft decision and then you submit those proposed conditions and
happy to do so.
Limiting it, and my main concern is it's 40 to a class maximum of that, and they have to be within 10 minutes or something to that effect.
Yes.
So that your maximum occupancy would be 40.
Never exceed the
buffer,
possible.
and get rid and include also the workers in there.
Understood.
Apprentices.
Yeah, no problem. That's under representation. National County Planning Commission has recommended local determination.
Okay, do we have any other questions from the board? Do we have any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case be placed on the board's decision calendar. When the board renders its decision, you will be notified by mail.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Yeah, Mr. Vanessa, we did have to think that through in advance. We went through the calendar for that. All right, we're going to take a short recess to give the court reporter time to get the blood flow back in her hands. 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll be back out and get the rest of the stuff done. Thank you. Stephanie, will 10 do you, or do you need 15? We have 2 cases after this.
I think we can. I just have to save the file and distribute the rest.
Because we just have 2 short cases for minutes. Okay. For the morning count. Every time that happens, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's irritating. Irritating my eyes now. Yeah.
about 2 minutes. But you will be, don't leave.
No, I'm not going to.
Yeah, there's a cafeteria in the other building on that side.
Oh, okay.
There is one in this building.
Oh, okay, like the main building.
Yeah, the one Washington Street where the old.
Got it, okay.
So it won't be too much more.
Okay.
They're just going to call you up. I have your folder here. It's basically that you are on the record, you're the new owners, and then all the conditions previously with the old case, you guys are agreeing to on the new case, and then we do the renewal for the two-family. That's what I'm looking for. You might have to file some new paperwork with the BZA, just stating that you are the new owners. But as far as the public hearing portion of it, we'll be taken care of. Okay. That's your biggest hurdle.
you actually can call it?
Case 1379-22, Levittown, Kathy Newman. Variance to side yard aggregate and enclosed garage conversion of living space, also known as 5 Celestial Road. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So, okay. Please take a seat and state your name and address at the microphone.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Classy. I'm residing at 33 Lisbon Drive. I'm representing Peter Yablowski and Kathy Newman, residing at 5 Celestial Lane in Levittown. Peter was in a horrific motorcycle accident and is currently in a nursing facility. The facility is releasing him back to his home on February 1st. We are requesting a side yard variance on existing property at 5 Celestial Lane because we are converting the existing garage into living space for Peter, who is now quadriplegic as a result of the accident. The garage is being converted to a bedroom and a bathroom with wheelchair accessibility.
Is that your case?
Yes.
So you're required to have a 15-foot side yard aggregate, and your client's providing 12.17 inches. And garage conversions in Levittown always trigger. 99% of them trigger side yard aggregate variances. You're not out of the norm.
Do I have any other questions from the board?
I move that this case number 1379 of 2022, Kathy Newman, for the purpose of the side yard aggregate for the maintaining conversion of the garage to living space, be granted as requested.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Next we have case 798-22, Paul Tanvir and Gita Wati. Variances in lot area occupied, the front yard having setback, construct over open porch with partial trellis above attached dwelling, also known as 1624 Kenneth Avenue. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so okay? Please state your name and address for the record.
James Apka from Pt1 Architects, 1200 Veterans Highway, Hopkins, New York, 41780.
I'm sorry. What is your name, sir?
James Apka from Pt1 Architects.
And you're on 798? Case 798?
Yes, Tim here, you know what's he?
Okay, here. I don't think you signed it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. O'Connell never forgets that.
Is there a Gregory White here? Which case are you on here on, sir?
Second one.
Okay, because you did sign in on that case, but I didn't. Now, are you here with the applicant?
No, I'm just going to listen.
Okay, if you would like to, if you're interested in the case, if you wish to say anything with regard to it or ask any questions, you can feel free to come up to this chair up next to the applicant's representative, and then just before you speak, you'll get sworn in as everyone.
That man. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead and proceed.
I apologize about that. Good morning, board members, Madam Chair. We're here today proposing to construct a partially roofed over front porch with a attached trellis over a front patio on a single-family residence. The home currently sits on a lot that is lesser of what this one requires. It actually sits on a 4,900 square foot lot, where the residency zoning calls for 6,000 square feet. So the increase that we're actually asking for would be for a 35.32% lot coverage variance, where 27.5% is provided. Given the footprint of the existing dwelling and the existing detached garage, it makes it kind of difficult to construct any improvements to this home, as it already sits, I believe, at a 30.32% lot coverage. Also, in constructing this, the porch will be completely open, so it's not going to be walls on it or enclosed structures, as our homes in this area have vestibules that were previously constructed with the existing dwellings. So we are also requesting to reduce the average front yard setback from 25.49 feet to 18.1 feet to construct this roof porch. The porch itself won't be any more than approximately 16 to 18 inches in height from grade, so it will not be obtrusive to any neighbors or tower over anything under view. And also, the average front yard setback though is 25.49. Some of the homes are actually, I believe it's west. They're staggered, so they did kind of skew the average from what some of the houses might be like that.
Okay, and is that your case for the moment?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. White.
Yeah, the only question I have is, would you like to be sworn in first?
Yes, please. Thank you for remembering.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Please take a seat and sit your address to the
My name is Gregory White. I reside at 1621 West Belt Avenue, Baldwin, New York.
Sir, would you want to speak to the microphone, please?
Yeah. I just apologize that my wife couldn't be here today, but she was very interested in this. This is my first time coming to something like this, so I don't know what the procedures are, or as far as the construction, how that would actually impact on my property. I really have no idea. That's why I came here to listen. I don't know whether it's going to intrude on my yard or it's going to be overlooking my yard. I don't know. That's why I came down here to listen.
You're behind him, right?
I believe I'm directly behind him.
Yes.
Sir, so can we get this, Mr. White? This is the rendering drawing of what it is proposed to look like after the construction, if it's approved. We do need that one back though, because that's the official decision. And let's see. The work that's proposed is all on the front of the house. None of it is on the sides or the rear of the house.
Oh, okay. All right.
If you look at, and you're the abutting neighbor to the rear, right?
Yeah, I'm in the back.
So this shows where it's not obvious unless you do this all the time, but where it's hatched on that diagram is the only place that they're doing work, and you can see that that's on the front, which is on Kennedy. You see, so the only work being proposed is where that hash marks are. That's how they denote it. And that's the front of the house, right, on Kennedy.
Oh, okay. I think my questions have been answered.
Okay, good. We like to hear that. Okay, and any other input or questions? Okay.
Patrick, can you have that? Just show his wife.
He can keep those, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, sir, is that your case?
Yes.
Okay, do I have any other questions from the board?
I move the hearing be closed, the case placed on the decision calendar. All those who signed in will get a written copy of the notice.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So, Mr. White, you'll also get a copy of the board's decision by mail once we do it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
And you can tell your wife took care of everything.
That's what the memo said. I don't want to.
Thank you so much. That was that.
That'll never happen.
Oh, which case is that's this case?
Yes, on the bottom of page
54.
Okay. Do I have any other motions from the board?
I move that on October 26th hearing, we had a case 554 in West Hempstead, 2022. Michael Sabatakis, pardon that one, renewal of a grant to maintain a two-family dwelling located north side of Eagle Avenue, 160 feet east of Hempstead Gardens Drive in West Hempstead, also known as 547 Eagle Avenue. At that time, the case was placed on our reserve calendar. I would motion that it be restored to the day calendar for today's purpose, limited to solicit information.
Okay. Second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, Mr. Patrick, can we call that case?
Sure. Case 55422, West Hempstead, Michael Savitkis, Julie Ortiz, Duran, John Morales. Renewal of grant to maintain two-family dwelling, also known as 547 Eagle Avenue. You swear from, are you coming speaking as well?
Well, she's my mother. I'm the sole owner of the house, but she's my mom.
All right. We'll swear you in, and if she needs to state, we'll swear her in.
You swear from tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay. You can state your name and address for the record into the microphone.
My name is Michelle Bassoon. I am the owner of 547 Eagle Avenue, West Hempstead, New York, 11552.
Thank you. Before we get started, I just want to, for the record, this is a case that was a two-family granted in 2005. At that time, there was a condition that was granted only to the applicant at the time, it was Margaret Finch. Subsequent to that, it was granted as a temporary case, renewable every 5 years. It was renewed one or more times. On last, it was not renewed. It had a change of ownership, I think, from Miss French to another individual who I believe is currently the owner of record on our books, but not the actual owner of a record. It was then transferred from those folks to you in a subsequent transaction. And again, the renewal had expired on some level, and we're not even quite sure where, because you weren't getting renewal notices because your name wasn't in our records, and the owner prior to you wasn't able to renew it because that group was no longer the owner. So I think for the purposes of today, now that we've been able to contact you and you've been able to come, we're going to get some information from you with the view toward determining whether this case has to start again from scratch for an application to have a two-family there, or whether or not it's something that can be done in some other fashion administratively. We're just not clear until we get some more information and have counsel to the board look into what options are available to try and get this resolved so that you are in the position you'd like to be in, if possible. Okay, so you started by giving us your name, and I guess if you could, I don't know if you were aware of the prior conditions, so I'm going to just read to you just so we can get it in the record. This case was originally heard on March 16th at 2000. Let me rephrase that. It was granted, the decision was made, so I can't say the hearing was prior to that or on that day. The decision on this case was made on March 16th of 2005. At that time, the case number was 19605. It was noted as West Hempstead, Margaret French, renewal of grant to maintain two-family dwelling, north side of Eagle Avenue, 160 feet east of Hempstead Gardens Drive, otherwise known as 547 Eagle Avenue. I'm going to read this one paragraph, which then tells us the decision that was made. The resolution was made on the motion of Mr. Diana and seconded by Mr. Weitzman. At that time, it was resolved that the application would be granted temporarily to October 20th of 2009 on condition that at least one apartment be owner-occupied at all times, and it also contained a limitation that the grant was limited to the use by Margaret French only, and that it would not run with the land. So that was the prior grant. It would have been renewed on 09, on 14, on 19, etc. So that's the starting place. It then did somehow end up in the name of who I believe sold it to you and who was referenced when Mr. Pellegrini, and I might as well just for purposes of continuity, at some point then Michael Kiddis, my apologies, Angelique Ortiz and Beatrice Duran, John Velez, all became the owners of record in our books, and I presume the actual owners of the property. Is that who you brought the property from?
Yes.
Okay. So, at some point after Ms. French, it did transfer to someone else, and apparently was transferred and or maybe renewed once. We don't know. That's part of the inquiry we're going to have to make once we get what we can get from you in terms of information. So, do you live in the house?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And there is how many other units in the home?
There's my sister and her husband. So it's a 3-story house.
Okay.
I live on the top floor.
Okay.
My sister and her husband live on the second floor, and my mom lives in the basement.
Okay. And how many kitchens are in the house?
There are 3 kitchens.
Okay. Is one of those in the basement?
Yes.
Okay. And was it that way when you bought it?
Yes.
Okay. So there were always these 3 units from your experience as far as you have?
Yes. I know for the basement, the stove is electric. It's not gas. But yeah, from the very beginning, they always sold it to us as a 2-family. From the listing, the paperwork, it was always identified as a 2-family house.
Okay, and then at some point, obviously, it became a 3-family with the 3 kitchens. Somewhere before you bought it.
Well, yeah, I would say the entire time, it's always been set up that way. We didn't set it up, we didn't do any work, because we just moved in July, and we kept it the same exact way from when we first moved in. So from July 2022, when we first moved in, to now, we didn't touch anything. So the setup of the house, the way it is, we kept it that way. For some clarification, we had no idea that the status of the house has to be renewed until closing. This was kind of like a bomb that kind of dropped on us at closing. They didn't tell us anything about having to renew this prior to closing. I have Beatrice's number. Anytime she gets mail, I'll send her an email saying, "Hey, your mail is here." But she's never disclosed to me until a previous phone call. And the phone call was sometime in December. I think it was
That you needed to come in. She didn't.
Yeah, she was that's when we found out that we had to reach out to you guys about coming in for a hearing. So we were in the dark about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, now the way the town determines if it's a 1-family, a 2-family, a 3-family, the primary way to deal with that is how many kitchens. So this was approved as a 2-family for this particular individual. We're not sure why. We're going to have to do some inquiry on that. But right now it's being operated as a 3-family, and I realize you didn't know that. You weren't aware they weren't allowed to. But it's most likely that we're going to have to kind of restart this and go through an actual hearing where you and whoever either represent yourself, if you have someone assist you, but we would need to get a lot of information and testimony about, and work around the parameters allowable law as to why it should be even a 2-family, much less a 3-family, what the area character is. There are a lot of factors, and I'm pretty confident we're going to have to kind of start from scratch. So what I think makes the most sense is that we make sure we get so if we do that, we wouldn't even be changing this case to you. You would be starting a new case asking for the relief of a 2 or 3 family, whatever relief after you figure out on your end you think makes sense to pursue. We would have, I don't know if the plans that we were given when we purchased this or that are on file are what is actually there. If they are, you might be able to, in terms of saving money, get copies of the plans there for a submission to the building department to say, we are the new owners and we want to operate it in this fashion. That's kind of putting the cart before the horse right now. But I'm thinking we're probably going to have to start over. But what we'll do is we're going to have counsel to the board look into it, both in terms of what processes you're going to need to go through procedurally, what exists there. There's probably a fair amount of work that's going to need to be done, and the sooner you get that case going. So if someone right now complained that you were operating a 3-family there, like some neighbor, then you would be, most likely an inspector would come out, and you could be at risk of getting like a citation. So the way that you can put that issue on hold so that you can proceed to ask for relief from the building department, the board, is to, as quickly as you can, get the new case filed. So that kind of puts that step on hold because you're in the process of trying to legalize whatever can be legalized there. It's unfortunate that this happened to you, but, kind of.
Yeah, and just to clarify something, like we're all one family living in the house.
I understand.
Like we have no intention of renting out or like, like my mom, the reason she's with us is because we definitely want to be able to take care of her, and it's more convenient for her to be in the basement.
You'll have to work out the building department.
Yeah.
Again, one of the things is, it's not that your family all lives there, it's that there are 3 kitchens,
right,
which by definition makes it a 3-family. So those are the kinds of issues that will have to be addressed when we finish up. But I'm just telling you, if it is that you have to start with a new hearing, which I think that's going to be what it is, given so many changes, not that you made them, but just that what's there isn't what was originally approved from the beginning. Someone before you had made additional changes. What's really important is to try and get that ball rolling, at least get the applications in so that the other things are, so that you're not, the other matters are staged so that you can get this process, see it through, to make the requests for the relief that you need.
Okay.
So before we finish this, I have other board members here who may have additional questions to make the record that we need to do the inquiry, into how to proceed.
Okay.
Anyone else?
You're saying right now that your mom is living in the basement. In the town of Hempstead, a basement cannot be living space.
Okay.
That is illegal.
Okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't
Even though she's your mom and everyone in the house is family, all right, there cannot be living space in the basement.
The concern is safety, I think, for the most part. Like in the event of, God forbid, like a fire or something. So, but Mr. Vogel, do you have all the contact information?
I do. I have the email contact and phone record.
Okay, and they have yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so.
And she has signed as well, so we'll be able to contact.
Okay. One second. So, do you think that within, how about when we're done here, you work out with them if you don't mind? They probably need to go to the zoning board and get forms and whatever that is. You you can set them up, of course, for the process, right? And, whether or not they can get, they're gonna have to get, maybe they get plans from the town, and then compare them to what's actually there, whatever, you got this? And then,
Yep, I got you.
Okay, so Mr. Bogle, our illustrious counsel to the board, is gonna help you through the process of figuring out how to proceed. Once, as a board, we figure out if, how to get your case started, and then he'll be with you so that hopefully we can make the process as smooth as possible to try and at least request what relief you need. Some relief is more difficult to get than others, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay. Now, did you wish to say something? Okay. So, Mr. Owens is going to just swear you in.
Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Please take a seat. State your name and address.
Okay, ma'am.
You're going to need it a little closer because it's not that great of a microphone. Oh, that was the question.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Lois Anthony. I'm Sheldon Newsman. After closing, that's when we found out we have papers that state that Beatrice had 180 days to have this process cleared up. And her cutoff date was December 24th, but she should have had it fixed.
Of this past year?
Yes.
Were there attorneys involved in the transaction?
Yes, there were. She had an attorney, you had an attorney.
Have you made your attorney aware of this?
Yes, our attorney knows.
Okay. Depending on the documents, one of the remedies in such a situation is one common remedy, and I can't speak to yours exactly, Joanne, you probably can speak to this, is that if there is a condition in the contractual arrangements that she has 180 days, and she doesn't do that, one remedy sometimes, you need to ask your attorney, is that you can undo the transaction. Now, I don't know if that's one available in your case. I don't know, Joanne, if you could.
Now, is there money held in escrow?
$35,000.
And who is holding the money?
The attorney.
Her attorney or your attorney?
Her attorney.
Okay, well then you've got to get the attorneys involved in this.
Yeah, your attorney needs to get you that $35,000.
Right, we had to come here first.
Okay.
And then once we get home, we'll go out for our attorney.
Okay, so what does your attorney want to let him know after this hearing?
Whether he's going to have to take her to court to sue her for $35,000. But it's
well, the $35,000 may be better spent on this case.
Right, yeah. But
so then I think when we finish here and have a chance to speak as a board, what if I ask Mr. Vogel to call you with what the outcome was, and he may be able to give you a better indication of what you need to tell you, what happened here, which is what I assume you want to convey to your attorney. Correct. That way we can, right, does that make sense, Mr. Vogel?
No, that's clear, yeah, that's no problem.
Okay.
Can you make sure you can get a copy of that?
Yeah, I'm actually going to give this back to you because
You have my email, right?
Because you need to keep this, and this needs, that needs to be dealt with. We realized that you guys were unaware of this and you didn't do anything wrong. We're trying, that's why we're trying to find the easiest way, but
but she
there
just
may not
said
be.
that that's a legal apartment. You should be
We weren't made aware of that.
I understand, and your attorney needs to really get on this. But we'll have Mr. Vogel, after we discuss it as a board as to how we think we have to proceed, given this situation for us and following the ordinances as they are. Maybe he can call and give you the basic summary that you can pass on to your attorney, so your attorney can decide how to proceed in your best interest. Okay.
Did you purchase the home through a real estate broker?
Yes. Anthony Matola.
Anthony Matola.
Yes.
Is the real estate broker we purchased it through.
And they had said to us that it's
even we had an inspector come in for the what was it?
Structural stuff.
Yeah, like before we even had the closing, we had an inspector come in and he went through the entire house, basement, first floor, second floor. He even went all the way to the roof.
That's structural.
Yeah.
Exactly, and he didn't mention anything
Well,
about.
he would not mention anything. Your attorney should have had a title report done.
We had a title report done.
Okay, and in the title report, I'm not sure what your deed said. The original deed on this property
It says from 1 to 3 dwellings.
Okay.
1 to 3 apartments.
Yeah, your attorney, and you probably have title insurance too. Yeah, I think there's your escrow, there's the contract for sale. You know, there may be title insurance coverage here.
Yeah.
Your attorney's going to look through it, but, I mean, it sounds like, you know, there's some
So
here that wasn't
according to this that basement apartment should not be there.
Correct.
Should not be there.
Correct.
Is there an exterior basement entrance?
There's one entrance, but we can make another entrance.
Yeah, so there's an entrance. So there's an entrance from the basement directly outside.
Correct.
And then the second one is through the
Well, we could make a second.
Yeah, like if we need to construct a second outside entrance.
No, this is
You can't do that.
Well, no, I'm not saying you can't do that. It wouldn't solve the issue of an apartment in the basement. That wouldn't be solved. Yes, a habitable space in a basement always needs two, that's what we're making, two ingress egress, but that even two ingress egress in the town of Hempstead, you still can't put the apartment there. But this is all, we first need your lawyer involved. To look after your interests, and then we will have Mr. Vogel reach out to you later today as soon as we can to give you just basically the summary to pass along to your attorney. And he will also, maybe not today, but he will also in the next couple of days work with you, please, Ms. Vogel, in determining how procedurally you need to try to deal with this matter. Separate from your lawyer, your lawyer should not wait for us to deal with whatever breach of contract issues or etc. are there, because
Right, so really, we shouldn't have you to go to a closing.
Correct.
Once we found out that wasn't a legal apartment in the basement, we should not have closed.
At the risk, I don't want to second guess counsel,
but keep it straight. We want to know,
I understand, but it's a precarious position for me.
Ask your attorney.
I would say that, I would not have, but that's all I have. All right. So
just reach out to me sometime tomorrow, or you can do it after the hearing. So I'm sure I'll be available. But you have my contact information. I'll tell you what the first steps are for filing to legalize this, as well as what steps you probably should take in regards to the contact of your own counsel for this transaction that happened a little sloppily.
Okay, ladies. Okay. Let's see. Since we did have a hearing, I guess
That was a closing for the day. Backs reserved.
Yes. Okay. Good.
Make a motion to
put it on referral.
So
I'll put on referral. You can do that too.
Okay. So do I have any other questions from the board?
I move that this case be case number 554-2022 at 547 Eagle Avenue be placed on our referral calendar. Pending the information that your attorney gives our counsel, and we'll try to figure it out.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Ladies, have a wonderful day. Hopefully this can get repaired on many levels for you folks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Oh, yes. Do I have a motion from the board as it relates to the entire calendar? Lordy calendar.
Let's close the door. I did.
Second? Okay. Kim moves to close the morning calendar. Second? All in favor? Aye.
Mr. Bogle.
So pretty much the next step
So let's, later.
For your actions regarding to your contracts, you
Had no chairperson, you're not going to return.
Let's go.
Yep.
Here, we can do that. Got it.
It's all
Okay.
Right now, what is like
Oh, okay. You said.
Actually, you corrected.
Oh, no, let's do it back then, just like.
No, actually, you
Okay, all right, listen. All right, case 123 through, case 123 through 423, Baldwin 560 Sunrise Highway LLC. Thank you, Ernie. Renewal of brands to maintain special exception for outdoor storage of used automobiles for non-conforming auto repair shop, maintain a various off-street parking, maintain special exception to park in West B district, maintain 6-foot high fence, located at 560 Sunrise Highway. First is, well, we need to make a motion regarding the caption. Do I have a motion?
I move that we amend the caption, as we did here in 560 Sunrise LLC, and the case placed on a reserve calendar pending the submission of the necessary papers to transfer the ownership.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So we're making a motion as to
No.
Case 523 in Belmore, Joseph and Susan Caliendo, renewal of grant to maintain pool and pool equipment in the front yard, and a 6-foot high solid vinyl fence forward of dwelling larger than the pool installation area. This case affects the property located at 2810 Robert Lane. Do I have a motion?
I move case 523, Melbourne, Joseph and Susan Caliendo at 2810 Robert Lane, be approved as requested.
Second?
5 years with the same condition.
Correct, 5 years.
That's what I said.
All in favor?
Yes, it did.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, case 623 in Belmore, Michael Vitale installed pool equipment not permitted in the side yard with less than the required side yard setbacks, affecting the property at 2641 Hewlett Lane. Do we have a motion?
I move that case 6 of 2023 in Belmore, Michael Vitale. First, to amend the caption, it's a maintain pool and maintain the pool equipment not permitted in the side yard, and that the case be granted for a period of 5 with
No, don't, that's the pool gets checked every 3 years, doesn't it?
No, you have temporary conditions.
Usual pool.
Right.
Fences are too, but when we have the enclosure with the pool, it's usually permanent.
Right. With the necessary Section 252 pool conditions.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case 723 Merrick, Robert and Diane Katz, various other occupied, maintain addition attached to dwelling, located at 3317 Robin Lane. Do I have a motion?
I move case 7 of 2023, located at 3317 Robin Lane, Merrick, and granted as requested.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Cases 823 to 923 in Roosevelt, Hendrick, Fayette, various occupied, maintain something attached to dwelling, install/replace 4-foot high fence without clear side triangle of both neighbors' driveways, and located in the clear side triangle at the corner. Affecting the property at 330 Park Avenue. Okay. This request is without the clear side triangles. What was proposed in the hearing was with the clear side triangles cut out, right?
Yes, it did.
Without clear side triangle. So what we heard as an application was this proposal with the proper clear side triangles, correct?
They were going to catty corner
All three of them,
Yes,
yeah.
all 3 of them.
60 linear feet between
The
those two
corner,
corners?
the intersection didn't have a.
There were 3 of them. I was very careful. That one was 21.86 feet, that one was 18.01 feet on that side.
It was a 4-foot picket fence on the corner.
On those 3 corners.
With the streets, the driveways were no problem. They showed depicted as catty corner. The street.
I don't think they were catty corner, I think they went down to 6-foot picket.
No, I think
All
they were
right.
catty corner.
So, you know what, we're gonna have to hold that until the afternoon.
He's got it right there.
It was 4 foot, then catty corner was 6 foot, and catty corner.
There's 3 corners, see? Here's the catty corner. And then these, see this catty corner? And the other one is here. Well, this is 4 foot.
It has to be specified.
3.5 feet is no.
This says that they want it. Listen, but this request is they want 4 foot high fence without the clear sight triangle at both neighbors' driveway. No, but that is with the clear sight triangle.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I get it. I understand what you're saying.
Okay, let's do the rest of it. Let's pull this to after. I want to look at it. Okay, so let's keep that out. We're going to do that. So we can take a look at that and review the video to make sure we understand what the request is. Okay. All right. Case 1023 in Belmore, Kathleen and Randy Galingo. That was adjourned February 1st at 9:30. Case 1123 in Merrick, Damon Ocadoro. Variance occupied side yard aggregate constructed pergola and outdoor kitchen attached to the dwelling. This is located at 100 Byron Road in Merrick. Do I have a motion?
I move case 1123 in Merrick, Damon Commodoro at 100 Byron Road, and approve as requested.
Second.
There's already permits also for the attached garage.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case 1223, 1323, Franklin Square, Wilma Hughes, variance slaughter and occupied side yard aggregate, maintain addition, and roof over porch all attached to the dwelling, maintain a shed, the lot area occupied variance is called changing the property at 120 Madison Avenue, Franklin Square. Anyone want to take a look at that? Do I have a motion? Jim, do you want to take a look at that? Sure. At least look through the file and decide if you want it, if you need to actually inspect it, or we can do it this afternoon. Okay, case 1423, 1523 in Levittown, Joseph and Barbara Orvieto, I wrote that down. Variance lot area occupied side yard aggregate, maintain addition and garage converted to living space with portico attached there too, all attached to the dwelling. Variance lot area occupied side yard aggregate, maintaining roof over patio attached to dwelling. This is affecting the property at 39 Tallow Lane in Levittown. Any discussion on this?
This is an okay case. It can never be enclosed to cover the side yard.
Without a grant from the building department of the board, right?
Well, that's a good condition.
So you said that as a condition.
Yeah, I was Commissioner Sean Van Close.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion?
Therefore, I move that case 2023, and 39 Tallow Lane be granted. That case number, let's say 1423 be granted as and that case 15 of 2023 be granted with conditions that remain a roof over and then be enclosed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case 1623, near Valley Street, Elliott Long and Malcolm Hadassah Long. Variance exceeds number of stories, other occupied front yard setback, construct 3-story additions, 3rd-story deck, and overhead covered porch all attached to the dwelling. This property is located at 917 Cliffside Avenue near Valley Street. Did anyone want to take a look at that case with the 3 stories?
Yeah, I think it should be held and we take a look at it. Because I looked at the area and most of them are high ranches or ranches, so it would really be out of character with the neighborhood.
Okay, let's put that on the surface. Case 17 of 2023 in Woodmere, Jeffrey and Allison Hoshender. Variance lot area occupied side yard aggregate rear yard construct 2-story addition both attached to the dwelling. This is
This property is located at 932 Island Terrace in Woodmere. Is there any discussion?
I move case 17 of 2023, located at 932 Eileen Terrace, Woodmere, be granted as requested.
Second. All in favor? Case 18 of 23, Montauk Eric Hadukowitz. Variance rear yard construct garage and roof over patio both attached to the dwelling. The property is located at 1260 Hawthorne Drive in Montauk. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I make the motion to approve case 1823 Montauk Eric H. at 1260 Hawthorne Drive West.
Second. All in favor? Case number 19 of 2023 was Hempstead, Nigel and Cecilia Day, or Cecilia, butchered that name, apologies. Lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, construct one-story addition and garage all attached to the dwelling. The property is located at 680 Jennings Avenue in West Hempstead. Do I have a discussion or a motion?
I move that case 19 of 2023, the days located at 680 Jennings Avenue in West Hempstead be granted as requested.
Second. All in favor? Okay. Case 2023, Levittown Jannon Fitness Inc. doing business as Rockbox Fitness. This is a request for a special exception for proposed place of public assembly and amusement in a portion of the existing building. It needs a variance in off-street parking located at 3333 to 3349 in Hempstead Turnpike in Levittown. I believe we are waiting. We'll put this case on reserve while we wait for the materials from Mr. Vanessa regarding the proposed conditions and etc. Okay. Case 1379, 2022, Levittown, Kathy Noonan. Variance in side yard aggregate proposed garage conversion to living space. Property is located 5 Celestial Lane, again in Levittown. Is there any discussion? Oh, this case was decided from the bench. So, there we go. Case 798, 2022, Lawwood, Canberra, Ida Wasim. Variance in lot area occupied, front porch average setback, constructed with open porch with a partial trellis above the dwelling. The property is located at 1624 Kenneth Avenue in Baldwin. Any discussion or motion?
I move case 798 of 2022, located at 1624 Kenneth Avenue, Baldwin, be granted as requested.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's move that to reserve county.
Considering MCRT, I'm still in discussions with the fourth floor regarding jurisdictional elements. It was on 11 hours. You didn't be making a decision on this, but that's
okay.
The work Starbuck portfolio, I sent another decision, but I know you probably want to still look at that as well.
I do.
Okay. So the key as we discussed, and everything else is inspected.
Okay. So let's see here. Moving to, we'll go to 791, 2022 to 792, 22 Merritt. That inspection was done by Mr. Regano, so we'll do that in the afternoon.
Yeah, I have the draft decisions at 8:36 and 8:37, but I think Mr. Regano stated that he wanted to be here for that one.
Okay. Let's go to the next page. We have two additional on Mr. Regano and Terry on 672. Did you want to wait for?
Yeah, I looked at it, but let's wait for him.
Both of you be here. Okay, and then
that last, we're still waiting for the termination of the NCTC on that too, right?
So,
yeah, because the NCTC.
reserve calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's right.
So soon we get stuff from the county on that one. Yeah, but either way, we're waiting on the county, so that has to wait. Okay.
Yeah, because they need the tracks already.
Extensions of time.
This is extension time.
Let's see, for extension of time, they're both the first request by the applicant. They're all, 3 of them are to secure permits, so we don't have to worry about any unfinished construction. They were all decided in late 21 or 22, so I assume the character of the area hasn't changed. As it relates to the fourth one, is commence construction. That one was decided in, so I think we can start by having a motion on the first request of those 3 cases, Mr. Pellegrini. We can do that, and then we'll take that up.
I don't think that into that. I just got these.
Okay, so let's take up this. So let's take up the 3 cases. Let's take up the 3 cases here to secure permits. Mr. Vogel will look over the 4th one, which is to commence construction. It's at least a 7-year-old case. So Mr. Vogel will take that one up later. Yeah, and Mr. Vogel, how can a 2015 case have its first request for an extension?
So you'll look up that. Let me talk to Gail first and figure out exactly what the request was.
Okay.
They can ask for an extension if they were completing construction and they just need to get the CO. But
Yeah, that's what happened. So let's do the 3 we have there.
I just saw that.
I move that case 495 and 496 SNL MBS LLC to secure building permits. Grant was in 3/23/22. It granted a 1-year extension of time.
Second. Do I have a second?
Aye. Case number 79 of 2022-13-15 Peninsula Owner LLC secure building permits to construct, that they be granted a 1-year extension of time.
Second, I'm sorry. Aye. Yeah, no, go ahead. Let's do the 3rd one and then I want.
Yeah. Case number 448, 449 Pajama.
Yeah,
Properties LLC to construct and sign, I don't know what that is. Maintain a sign. It says secure building permits. It was done in August 21.
What's your motion?
I move that this case be granted a 1-year extension of time.
Second. All those in favor? I'm sorry. Wait, one thing I'm confused about here. It's confused you, but can you just check this with you? Yes. They want to maintain something. Why can't they just do permits? My best guess is there's some reason they don't want a building inspector there. Like sometimes when they want to maintain something, they go, we're going to remove
This
that
one,
thing.
That's why I have to read this. This one says the 305 from town board.
Okay, so don't check. That's fine. It's administrative building. All right, good. That's great.
I know for the administrator.
All right, good. See everyone at 2 o'clock? Or
Variance height exceeds numbers of rooms maintain existing 5-story building. Doesn't require 2 acres.
Where's that?
This 1640.
This one?
Case 495.
Where's it? Is it possible that's that storage unit? Oh no, it's a maintain. Oh, well, that's all right. Maybe Mr. Bowman can look into it and brief us. What do you want to eat, guys? What do you want to eat? Hey, you want to try that Colombian restaurant my friend told me about? No, she said it. She's like meticulous. She said it's the best empanadas ever. It's Colombian. It's close by. But honestly, this woman, she's I'm telling you, she's meticulous. She doesn't go to most restaurants because she thinks it's too dirty. But she drives here over by me to go there. Okay, you're not into it. We'll try it another time. Huh? You and Joe. She says that everyone else does it. She literally drives people. Right? I'm telling you, this woman wouldn't. We're done. All right, let's go.
Somebody let me know where you go. I don't
You want to just go then to 7th Street? I guess it's.
If Joe wants to go for it.
No. It's not a big deal. Try it sometime.
Maybe that's what Tom's like.
It is. It's in Townsville. That's what it was. That'll be in Townsville.
Right.
Now we're in Townsville.
That's what you think.
All right, somebody gonna, Joanne.
What? Give them an extension of time for like saying.
I'm going to adopt.
Well, but they're doing it for site plan approval. They need the town board strike to go out.
No, let's not have this discussion.
Oh, yeah, no, I should have said that.
No, I have that.
Joking. Have fun.
Shoot.
idea about that.
Which one was that, Peninsula?
148. That's John's Capital Group, Granite 5.
Applicant needs additional time to complete construction plans. No, that's the 79 to 22.
No,